Of the 7 crew members, only one survived, blowing the creature out of the airlock. We've been searching for it ever since. The perfect organism. This is lines of dialogue revealed to us in a very recent Alien Romulus TV spot. And it has grand implications for the Alien universe. Grand implications. The movie itself will have huge implications for the Alien universe. But that dialogue there, it says a lot without saying a lot. It is given to us by a synthetic. Very clearly, you can tell that from how the dialogue is constructed and relayed to us. And it sounds actually an awful lot like Ian Holmes. It sounds an awful lot like the character of Ash, the synthetic. I don't think it's Ash. Obviously, he's dead. If he was even alive. But it's certainly a synthetic. So, a similar model to Ash. But what is the implication of that dialogue? What does it mean for the grander universe at play? I've been thinking about this for some time, and when I watched that TV spot, I thought to myself, and said in the reaction video, this is huge. This is absolutely huge, because it is. It really is. We know, always, and have done for some time, that the company, Weyland Industries, as it was at that point in time, because it wasn't Weyland-Yutani, before the Prometheus mission was aware of LV-426. It's in the extras on the Blu-ray. Now, whether they keep to this or not, we don't know, but they were aware of LV-426. Now, of course, Alien comes around, the events of Alien. Just prior to those events, and revealed in that film, we know that they replaced the science officer with Ash, days before they left. Now, they did that for a reason. Now, we're going to go to that reason in a minute, but I think it's important to note where they left. They left a planet called Thetis. Now, Thetis is a mining planet, stripping it of resources, Weyland-Yutani. Interestingly, that planet name came up recently in an interview with Fede Alvarez for Movie Maker magazine. And in that, and I quote, it states, and about that dying planet, Alvarez says it might be Thetis, a terrestrial planet that the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is stripping of its resources in Alien. And Nostromo is taking part in that plunder. So, thought that was quite interesting. Now, I think this is important because Alien Romulus is set 20 years after the events of Alien, 5 years after the events of Alien Isolation. In Alien Isolation, you switch off the beacon on the derelict. So Weyland-Yutani, although they were aware of LV-426, they may not have been able to locate the derelict itself. And then, of course, we know in the events of Aliens that the colony was put near the mountain to a degree. And the mountain range itself shielded the derelict. And of course the beacon was off as well. And then they refound it when Ripley woke up. So there's a few things. That line of dialogue with that as our sort of time frame, fully knowing that Weyland-Yutani knows about LV-426 and the Xenomorph, because that line of dialogue proves that Weyland-Yutani knew about the Xenomorph. There's a few things to unpack there, which actually gives us another malicious layer as to how and why they stationed a colony so close. They couldn't quite locate it. They couldn't quite narrow it down. They managed to get close to it, but not quite there. And potentially through Burke, they were sending out search parties here, there, and everywhere during that time. And then, of course, when Ripley wakes up, she gives Weyland-Yutani directive, closer location of where it is, and Burke then, because of course he's a little bit higher up, a little bit more in with Weyland-Yutani, sends people henceforth, sacrificing them. But the dialogue itself, the dialogue from the synthetic. Now that is very, very, very revealing. It tells us that Weyland-Yutani must have been communicating. With Ash. We know that to a degree. We know that Ash was at least communicating with Mother, and Mother was sending things forward, presumably to Weyland-Yutani direct. But at what point did that dialogue stop? The dialogue reveals to us that, of course, they're aware of what happened on the Narcissus. How? How do they know that she, being Ellen Ripley, blew the Xenomorph out of the airlock? Now, we know in the events of Alien Isolation that the flight recorder of LV-426 was recovered by Marlowe. But we also know that the data on board the flight recorder is corrupted. Now, what if Weyland-Yutani purposely corrupted that data? What if it was part of Mother? Mother corrupted the flight recording data. I don't think that that's too beyond the pale to sort of theorise. What if indeed it was this new synthetic character? Maybe Weyland-Yutani always had a form of remote sort of control over these flight recorders, and when they are containing sensitive information, they corrupt them. Potentially. But then that still adds a new layer moving forwards as to the communication element. But also the flight recorder of the Nostromo doesn't make sense as to how the synthetic in Alien Romulus is aware of what happened on board the Narcissus. And this adds just another little layer of theory. What if, I say this as a big what if Mother was actively on board the Narcissus as a form of AI, which I know that it is anyway, but was aboard the Narcissus as a form of AI, relaying messages all the way back to Weyland-Yutani, or to the nearest Weyland-Yutani outpost, say between Thetis and LV-426. Say the Romulus space station, for instance. Clearly a scientific space station. Maybe, just maybe, Ash was on board the Romulus space station before being transferred to Thetis, to then be transferred aboard the Nostromo. So this is more of a conversational discussion piece rather than a straight up theory. But it does definitely add layers and layers and layers to Alien Romulus now, and the alien lore as a whole. I do hope some of this gets explained, but it's certainly fascinating to think that Ash could have been on board the Romulus space station. Ash was then sent to Thetis with a new assignment from Weyland-Yutani, because again they pick up the beacon perhaps. He hops aboard the Nostromo. All the while Mother is sending information directly back to the Romulus space station. Could be. Could be. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please do let me know down below. Cheers guys, take care. Bye bye now.